Joined by WHL Commissioner Ron Robison. Ron, we're here in Edmonton. It's the first WHL Championship in quite some time. In general terms, just how excited, how happy are you to be back in this space and back in the WHL Championship Series here for the first time in several years?
Well, it is very exciting for everybody associated with the league to finally get to a position where we have a championship series and 4 rounds of playoffs, of course, and then ultimately the Memorial Cup. And it's been a very difficult period of time, 3 years since we've had an ability to have a championship itself, and 2 disrupted seasons, of course, and this year to have a full regular season, full playoffs is exactly what we wanted to accomplish.
Tell me a bit about the 2 teams involved. I mean, fairly, on the larger side in terms of market being concerned in this series, and 2 fairly evenly matched teams, at least from what we saw in Game 1. Just your thoughts on the journeys that have been taken so far by the Oil Kings and the Thunderbirds.
Well, a lot of unique things about this series. First time, of course, the Seattle Thunderbirds have met the Edmonton Oil Kings in a WHL Championship Series, and then, of course, the fact that we haven't had interconference play for 3 seasons is unique unto itself, and then, of course, the fact that these 2 teams, I think, have really demonstrated throughout the playoffs that Seattle, in particular, being I think 5 elimination games that they've found a way to get through series to the Oil Kings, who've been pretty dominant on the other side. So as a result, a real good matchup for a championship series.
For those of the NHL draft persuasion, be it drafts of years past or the upcoming 2022 NHL entry draft, certainly no shortage of talent in this series as well.
That's right, and I think it starts with the fact that you have to really credit the Edmonton area when you think of 16 players developed through this minor hockey system in Edmonton to come to our league, play, accomplish, and the number of first-round picks that are on the Edmonton Oil Kings to the number of draft-eligible players this year for the Seattle Thunderbirds. Both lineups, even though Seattle's a little younger team, Edmonton, of course, with a little older team, if you will, a real good, interesting blend of talent on both teams.
Do you get the sense, I mean, from a league perspective, it's certainly exciting to be here, but, how excited do you think, the players, the fans are about the fact that we are here again?
I think everybody, you can really feel that excitement. Starts with the players and the teams involved, and just many of these players, of course, have never experienced playoffs, let alone a championship series, and then ultimately a Memorial Cup, and you can really sense their excitement. They're glad to be back, and their families, I'm sure, who've had the opportunity to travel and see them play this year, are really enjoying this experience. And then from a standpoint of just having the opportunity to be in this position to compete for a championship is a real special experience for everybody concerned.
I just want to ask about coming out of the pandemic. I guess how are some of these franchises doing? Is everyone recovering? I guess because I know it was tough for a lot of teams to get through that.
It's been a very difficult period of time. We recognize it's going to take a considerable amount of time to rebuild these franchises. It was very encouraging through the course of the latter part of the regular season into playoffs. We were building some real strong momentum, but there's a lot of work to do to get our teams back to levels that'll allow them to sustain themselves in their markets.
Is that going to take a year or 2, or is that are you looking kind of long term, trying to get back to where you guys were before everything hit, I guess?
I think it's going to certainly take 2 or 3 years to get back to levels that we're going to be satisfied with. The pandemic was very difficult. We had a shortened season the last season, and of course no revenue, and so it's going to take teams some time to rebuild their fan base and reconnect. But we're working extremely hard at that, and hopefully get off to a strong start at the start of the next season.
And I know we have some bigger markets now with Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary. How do you kind of the lifeblood of this is the Swift Currents and the Prince Alberts and your smaller markets, I guess. How do you kind of keep the smaller markets competing with some bigger market teams, I guess?
Yeah, it's been one of the fascinating things about the Western Hockey League over the years is that our small markets coexisting with large markets, if you will, and of course the mainstream mid-sized markets. But everyone has their challenges. The large markets, of course, just having making sure you've got a strong presence, but their operating expenses are higher, operating in certain facilities like this. And then when you take our smaller markets, they've got a strong community support that they can draw on, but everybody across the board has a lot of work to re-engage fans, get them comfortable, come back to the buildings. But we're seeing some very encouraging signs. We've got tremendous community support, and our fans are very loyal, but we've got to reconnect with them again and make sure they're excited about coming back to WHL hockey.